So we are talking about the renowned classic horror movie, Halloween Pussy Trap Kill Kill. Yes, this is a 2017 deliberately kind of grindhouse style horror movie from writer-director Jared Cohen. Now, the story here is very similar to the movie Saw. However, it features this kind of group of kind of punk rock chicks as they are kind of on their way to their next gig. On the way there, they kind of end up having some car troubles and they stop at this kind of dusty old garage or gas station. Then they meet Richard Grieco's character, who agrees to take them to this kind of like house a few miles away. However, this is home to this strange psychotic guy who is in this wheelchair after having a horrific accident in the beginning of the movie. And he decides to put these girls, along with a couple of guys, in this kind of series of different trap rooms, basically, where they have to make decisions and ultimately dwindle their numbers down until there's only one survivor, even if that. So that's kind of your basic setup here. What do we think of the classically named film Halloween Pussy Trap Kill Kill? So, obviously meant to be a kind of schlocky B-movie kind of grindhouse film, so you can't take it too seriously, but can you kind of judge it on its own merits? Well, yes you can. So let's look at the good stuff here. First of all, I've got to say, this is definitely a knowingly fun kind of horror film. There's actually some quite attractive ladies in this movie, and they're all kind of dolled up in their kind of like punk rock outfits with, you know, spandex and stuff like that. There's lots of boobs, so obviously if you're a boob guy out there, there's plenty of them in here. And the actual setup is kind of a cheesy version of Saw. So if you like the Saw movies, and you may want to like this, you may like this movie. It's not as complex as Saw in any way. The traps are not as nearly complex, and also the motivations of the guy behind it, interestingly voiced by Dave Mustaine from Megadeth fame. His motivations are somewhat flimsy. There's this beginning of this movie, I was kind of taken aback a little bit, I've got to say, because they have this intro of this kind of like US military action against some kind of like Middle Eastern types. You've got Paul Logan in there. Oh, Paul Logan's in this. He's going to be the kind of the main character. Nope. But he basically sets up the kind of the bad guy as this kind of guy who essentially feels the main part of humanity in today don't have their kind of, you know, they have no kind of sacrifice. They're kind of living their life, boozing, sleeping around, taking drugs, whatever, without any concept of the sacrifices that other people make, etc. And this is the lesson that he kind of wants to teach these people. So it's a little bit of a flimsy kind of motivation for doing all this, to be quite honest. But it goes beyond that. We're introduced to his kind of family as well, who are equally as psychotic. We have no real backstory as to why. There's no real reason for that. And it's kind of like they're just there. And there's also some random murders committed by them, but they just seem to be out of place. Just to kind of maybe done in reshoots to kind of up the body count, I suspect. For some reason, they get trick-or-treaters in this house in the middle of nowhere. There are things that are very convenient in this film. Lots of things seem to happen just at the right time, just kind of like, oh, there happens to be a trap there where someone falls at the right time, etc., etc. So yeah, it's very much a kind of a movie that was made quickly to get out there, obviously for Halloween, to kind of capture the kind of the Jigsaw audience, obviously. So we had the new Saw movie as well, Jigsaw. So I feel this is definitely put out to be almost a mockbuster as such. That, but to kind of like hide that, it's kind of wrapped up in this kind of like this sleazy grindhouse kind of packaging. And don't get me wrong, the characters here are quite fun. They're all very attractive and kind of you know, very colourful outfits and stuff like that. There are some interesting kind of character moments between them. I think the most interesting character here is this kind of guy who's made out to be a bit of an asshole at the beginning of the movie, but he ends up being really the kind of the main character. And I actually kind of quite liked his arc in the movie, I've got to say. I thought the performances are all pretty good for this kind of like cheesy kind of role. Richard Grieco hams it up to the max. Comes across as, yes, a very kind of mustache twirling villain, a little bit OTT at times. And again, I didn't really understand his connection to it all. It was never really explained. So I feel this movie you know, it has been somewhat kind of just pieced together and not a huge amount of thought into it. I've got to say, I kind of liked the rooms where we have all these kind of different traps, even though they're nowhere near as kind of intricate as the Saw films. But overall, I feel if you like kind of grindhouse B movies and you don't have really kind of sky-high expectations about them, you will find kind of stuff to enjoy about this movie. I did actually find it was quite fun moving, kind of goes at a fair old pace. You know, has a cast that are clearly having fun, and if you like looking at attractive ladies, then this has got plenty of them. So I'll give this movie a solid 5 out of 10. It's pretty, you know, it's an average film, but I still think it's worth watching if you are. Is obviously its intended audience. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.